IELTS exam has become very popular nowadays. Many people pass it to go abroad, to study there, or to migrate in some countries. And if you are watching this video, it means that you have just started your preparation, or maybe at least you have decided to start it. Hi dear friends, if you want to watch more videos about General English and IELTS, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Today we're going to talk about IELTS preparation for beginners, for those who have just started their preparation or have decided to start it. And firstly, in this video, I'm going to give you some information about IELTS in general. And I'm going to give you some information how you should start your preparation in 1 week or 2 weeks. It's up to you. It's up to your English level. And go further to pass this exam. Firstly, let's start from general information about IELTS. As you know, there are two types of IELTS, general training and academic. General training is usually popular among those who want to migrate abroad, especially in some English-speaking countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand.
You're going to Australia?
Academic is mostly popular among those who want to study abroad because some universities require a certain level of English and you have to be suitable to this criteria. And one thing that I wanted to add, there's also one UKVI IELTS exam. It's for those who want to study in England, and some universities, they especially require UKVI. It's a little bit more expensive than ordinary IELTS exam. It's just a requirement. It doesn't have some principal differences. The difference is just in price and its name. The price of IELTS exam is approximately $200–250. Maybe it will become higher because it changed according to the economic situation inside the country and in the world. That's why now it's like 200 and 250 words, but then it can change. Of course, it becomes higher and more expensive. It doesn't become cheaper. That's why be prepared to pay this money. If you want to register to IELTS exam, there are two companies which organize these IELTS exams all over the world, almost in all countries. You can pass your exam in British Council or IDP. They are the same, no difference. Maybe just some universities can have some requirements. They can ask you to pass your exam only in British Council or IDP. It's not something special. It doesn't show that British Council is better than IDP or IDP is better than British Council. No, it's just an agreement between the university and one of those two companies. You can pass your exam on paper and you can pass your exam on computer. And to start your preparation, of course, you will need some books. I advise you to buy official IELTS preparation book, and I advise you to buy Cambridge books. There are 16 of them. There are 4 tests in each of them, 4 listening tests and 4 reading tests. They give you additionally, of course, 4 writing, task 2 and task 1, and speaking. You can start your preparation firstly from this book, because if you start doing your test immediately, you can make a lot of mistakes and you can become very, very upset because of this. Now let's talk about IELTS listening. IELTS listening lasts 30 minutes. It has 4 parts, 40 questions, 10 questions for each part, and they become more difficult as your listening continues. So the first part is the easiest one, and it becomes harder and harder in the next parts. You can pass your exam on paper and you can pass your exam on computer. If you pass paper-based exam, you will be given 10 minutes at the end of the test to transfer your answers to the answer sheet and 2 minutes for computer-delivered exam. Why? It's just because you have already chosen your answers on computer. You just need to confirm it. What I advise in listening section, besides preparing yourself with Cambridge books, I advise you to start listening in English a lot. Especially I advise you to listen to some BBC News, or there is a YouTube channel, 6 Minute English BBC. You can start listening to that channel. They give some interesting information about some vocabulary in 6 minutes. It's not boring, it's very interesting, you can do this. The listening section is the same for academic and general, no difference. Now let's go to the reading section. Firstly, I want to say that it's very different for academic and general. If they give you 3 passages in academic reading and 40 questions, in general training, they give you again 40 questions, but not 3 passages. They give you 5 passages. The first 4 passages are easy, and the last one is the most difficult among them. But again, it's not as difficult as in academic reading. What can I advise for those who have just started their reading preparation? Again, I don't advise to open those Cambridge books. It can seem to you very difficult. It was my experience. I opened Cambridge 8 and I saw a watch and I was scared. I thought that to pass IELTS exam, I need to know the structure of watch, or I need to know the structure of some equipment. That's why don't start from doing this test. Firstly, go to your book, IELTS preparation book, start doing with this book, and then you can go to your reading. But again, generally, don't start from doing just reading tests. Start to read a lot in English, and not just to read, you need to learn the technique to skim and scan the passage and understand its general meaning, and not only its general meaning, but the meaning of each paragraph in a short time. That's very important because you need to work with keywords, find these keywords, and only after you find your keyword, you have to read very carefully that part to understand this part and to find the correct answer. The next technique that you should learn to know, you should learn to predict unknown words. Even if you know English very good, you can again meet some uncommon or unknown words in English. And that's bad. It can prevent you from answering to some questions. But you can facilitate this process by trying to approximately predict their meaning. And that's why before doing your test, I advise you to start reading some passages and try to predict some unknown words. The next thing that you should learn in reading, you should learn some synonyms, and not only synonyms, but synonym phrases, because in reading passage, they don't change the words only with synonyms. They will change with their phrases. And besides this, you can use these phrases in your writing, because some phrases are really cool. Okay, the next section is writing section, and it's the most favorite among all students. I know that it's not like this. It's more difficult for many students to express their opinion in English because mostly we are not taught this at school, unfortunately. And that's bad because IELTS requirement is this, to express your opinion in a good manner and with good writing skills. You will have 2 tasks, task 1 and task 2. Here is the difference. Task 1 for general training is a letter. For academic training is a report. They give you a chart and you have to describe that chart or graph. Task 2 is the same, but for academic IELTS, they give longer topics and more difficult. They are more difficult to understand. For general IELTS, they give shorter topics, but the essence is the same. You will have approximately 1 hour for both of these writings. You can divide your time as you wish, but generally it's advised to spend less time to task 1 and more time to task 2. Firstly, task 2 is more difficult. It requires 250 words. Task 1 is easier, 150 words. And task 2 gives us more score, but it doesn't mean that task 1 is not important at all. It's very important. For those of you who have just started IELTS preparation, you should know that IELTS criteria assessment in writing is like this: task response, coherence, cohesion, grammar, and lexical resource. I don't want to talk a lot about grammar and lexical resource. You know that you should have good writing skills and good vocabulary. But what about task response? You should give relevant ideas to your essay. If we're talking about task 2. You should give relevant ideas to the question in task 2. Coherence, cohesion, you should have a smooth flow throughout your essay. It should be readable. A person who reads it should understand that you have one position, you give relevant ideas, you connect ideas and sentences with each other grammatically and logically. Of course, to do this, you will need a person who will navigate you in this way, who have some experience. And for self-study plan, you can take some good model essays on the internet, look at their sentence structures, paragraphing structures, and try to briefly make a plan, how they planned their essay. And then, according to this plan, you can rewrite this essay or you can write a new essay. And by this, you can learn a lot of different structures and you can learn how to write these essays. Of course, it will take a lot of time. That's why it's advised to take a small course on writing, because it's the most difficult part in IELTS. Now we will talk about task 1. As I've told, you will have a chart or a graph. And again, there are 4 criteria: task achievement, coherence, cohesion, grammar, and lexical resource. You should be able to analyze the graph. You should analyze the trends on that graph. You should look at the biggest points, at the lowest points, ups and downs, smallest changes, biggest changes. You should be able to compare your data in that graph. That's very important because it's the requirement of IELTS. Again, you can do the same. You can find some good model answers, look at how they have written this essay, and especially at 2 last paragraphs, it's the information division. It shows how they divided their information. That's important. And the last section is speaking. Speaking is usually taken on a separate day. You will have a face-to-face interaction with the examiner. It doesn't last long, approximately 11-14 minutes. The speaking section also has criteria. It's fluency, pronunciation, grammar, and lexical resource. I say it very briefly. Grammar and lexical resource. Again, you understand that you should have good English skills. And fluency, you should be fluent, you should be confident. Pronunciation doesn't mean that you should talk like an American. You should just pronounce words in the correct way. You should pay attention to the stress and to the pronunciation of some sounds. That's okay. For speaking, again, it's better, of course, if you have someone with whom you can practice, who has some experience in speaking, who can navigate you, show you your mistakes. But if you don't have such a person, you can listen to some speaking tests on YouTube, take some model answers, you can learn from those model answers. And what you can do, you can take some questions, answer to them, record your voice, and then listen to that recording. And believe me, while listening, even you by yourself can find some mistakes in your speaking. You should try to give some logical answers in speaking tests. So you shouldn't just give ordinary answers. It's better to give some interesting answers to impress the examiner. I think that this is the most important part. I have passed IELTS exams many times, and all the time I tried to give some impressive answers. And as a result, I had only 8.5 and 9 from speaking. When you will answer your speaking, you should follow the structure. You should give the answer and explain it. Don't forget this. So when they say, what's your favorite book? Don't just say this book. You should say this book and explain it. What's your favorite movie? This movie, and explain it. It's very important to give some reasoning to your answer. If you don't do this, it's very boring, it's very dull, and the examiner will not be impressed, and probably your score will be low. You should also try some good vocabulary. You can learn some special words, some special expressions for spoken English and use them in your speaking. But of course, you can't learn all of them or a lot of them. You should just need more fluency to express your opinion in a smooth manner. By the way, sometimes you can have some difficulties trying to answer the question because you want to give an interesting answer and you want to say it in English, and you struggle because you try to do 2 things at the same time. What you can do? You can firstly answer to the question in your own language and then translate it to English. It can sound weird, but it's better for those who just start. Then, of course, you should answer only in English, and in this way you will make yourself accustomed to answer to the questions in English. Well, I hope that this video will be very helpful for beginners, and I hope that I have covered all important parts in IELTS. If you have some questions, feel free to write them in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get more information about IELTS and General English. See you soon in the next video.